Alright, Russia's economy. The Russian economy is labeled as the eighth largest by nominal value and has the sixth/fifth largest purchasing power parity (PPP), which means the PPP. When it was a part of the Union of South Socialist Republics, it was initially a centrally planned economy. However, after the Soviet Union's collapse in the 1991, Russia has then made a significant turn and switched into a market-based economy. A market-based economy is basically when the main decisions are made with regards to focus on investing, producing, and distribution, mainly focusing on the supply and demand on the country. It also contains a free price system in which prices for goods and services are agreed upon. Most of Russia's domestic industries are predominantly split between globally competitive commodity producers. After witnessing a financial crisis in 1998, Russia has then risen and managed to gain economic structure and macroeconomic stability. It is part of many organizations such as World WTO, APEC, G8, and G20. So some of the trade benefits with Russia are that it has abundance of natural resources. Russia is the second largest producer of natural gas and holds the second largest coal reserves as well as eighth largest crude oil reserves. It is a top exporter of metals such as steel and primary aluminum. It has a vast variety of products and services and has a good hand in industries such as defense, aircraft, space, automotive, and softwares. The defense industry of Russia has over 2.5 to 3 million people working and has accounted over 20% manufacturing jobs. It is the second largest conventional arms exporter after United States. The aircraft industry. It is an important sector, employed over 355,300 people. The industry was able to produce 141 helicopters through its resources. It is one of the most science-intensive, high-tech sectors and employs the largest number of skilled personnel, people, and employees. Automotive industry. It is a really significant industry and has around 600,000 people working in jobs and supports about 2 to 3 million people in related industries of automotives. In 2010, Russia was the 15th largest car producer. Russia has recorded a trade surplus of 1,707,42 US dollars. The software exports have risen from $120 million in 2000 to $3.3 billion in 2010. All right. So, why you should invest in Russia? Some of the main reasons why Canada should trade with Russia is because the economy is market based and the variety of resources and products services they offer. Russia's economy is still labeled as as a developing one, so therefore that means cheaper raw materials. The country basically operates under the basis of imports and exports, goods and services, products and resources. It is capitalism, and the free price system that the economy contains makes it a lot easier for other countries to trade with because the prices of the goods and service can be agreed upon a price which can benefit both of the countries mutually. This will help Canada's economy to grow and become stronger as the prices are at a good reasonable price and a variety of products and services are being traded. The that's it. All right. These are some graphs to show the can Russia's rise after the 1998 and 1999 financial crisis. There's a legend there that says the red the IPI growth and the purple one's GDP growth and the blue one's in industrial production and the green one is nominal GDP. Alright, I'm gonna just let this graph sink in for a second. Hold on. Alright, as you can see, it grew vastly and substantially after the financial crisis and has been Russia's GDP has been growing and growing and is expected to grow a lot more. So Canada should trade with Russia because it is a really good opportunity for imports and exports, and for Canada's economy to grow stronger as well as gain profits through building strong relationships.
Go. Hi, my name is Mohammed Saeed, and I'll be talking about the political play in Russia's international investment. Table of contents. We'll be looking at Russia's political system setup, Russia's political and military ties, Russia's recent change in international business, and why a country should invest in Russia. So, Russia's political system setup. Russia is a federal semi presidential republic that basically illustrates that executive power is split between the president and the prime minister. Even though the president is a dominant figure, the legislature is represented by the Federal Embassy of Russia. It has two chambers, the State Duma, which is the lower house, and the Federation Council, the upper house. The judicial power is vested in courts and administered by the Ministry of Justice. Now let's talk about how the president elections are run and the roles in politics. The president, which is Vladimir Putin, as you could see at the left hand side of the right picture, um, and now, elections by popularity are voted for every 6 years for a maximum of two consecutive terms. It has been changed from to from 4 years to 6 years in 2008. The president determines the basic domestic and foreign policy, is the commander in chief of the armed forces, can resolves issues of citizenship of the Russian Federation, awards state declarations, and grants pardons. The prime minister, which you can see on, on the right hand side of the right picture, is Dmitry Medvedev, is appointed by the president and confirmed by the State Duma. So that's how the prime minister is elected. The Prime Minister ensures the implementation of domestic and foreign policy, works out the federal budget, oversees the implement and sees the implementation of financial and monetary policy, ensures the rule of law, human rights, and freedom. So now, Russia's political and military allies. So now, China. Russia wants to use its growing cooperation with China to boost trade by 15%. President Putin told the APEC that Russia is poised to increase trade from the current record, 87.5 billion to at least $100 billion. Russia and China are known to be well allies. Russia's economy thrives on military equipment such as guns, ammunition, aircraft missiles, and army uniform. As a result, China and Russia trade in military and economic goods, them having a good connection. Remember, China is the biggest manufacturing country in the world, having more US dollars than Americans themselves. Having such a connection with a powerful country will definitely attract foreign investments. Now let's look at USA. The US remains Russia's primary investor with 122 foreign investment projects between 2007 and 2011. As we know, USA is the biggest economic country in the world, and being a part of them will clearly make other countries see Russia as a potential foreign investment country. And as of Germany, in 2011, Germany exploded to Russia's rose 34% to reach 27 billion euros, while imports climbed by 27% to reach 25 billion euros. Germany is Russia's second most important trading partners after China. As we know, Germany is very good in innovation, technology, and cars. And having a relationship with such a country that is good with innovation and also is good with its banking systems um, creates other countries to also see it as a good investing country. As of India, um, in terms of trade, Russian politics ties with India. Russia exports US 3 billion in 2006 and '07, which in and as a result, India exports to Russia were valued as US $908 million. Um, India really loves Russia because It was said that Russia was an important supplier of defense equipment for several decades in India, and that relationship was inherited by Russia after the breakup of the Soviet Union. India is also a large manufacturing country, and as a result, will foreign countries will look at it as a good investment. Russia's change in international investment. So as you could see, 60% of investors believe Russia's accession to the World Trade Organization will increase countries' attractiveness. Also, the government signing the World Trade Organization created a 50% increase in foreign investments. Um, The report combines an analysis of international investments into Russia over the last year with a survey of more than 200 global executives on their views about how and where global investments will take place in the next 10 years. Russia's natural resources, growing domestic consumer market, strong labor forces, and recent attention to the World Trade Organization, yes, it joined last year, makes it an investment destination of choice of investment for other countries. Also, project numbers have increased by over 50% in the last decade with 83 foreign direct investors. Project recorded in 2002 increased to 128 and 28 in 2012. So why invest in Russia? In general, Russia has a strong security system. um if you have a foreign government, Russia requires you to go through a strong security checkup for any flaws or any tactics in your business. This will show to other countries that it has a strong security setup, and that your business could be secured while you're in Russia. Also, Russia's international investment is growing. As we know, as of 2012, they joined the World Trade Organization, and they're starting to allow other countries to invest more freely. It wasn't like that before 2012. Now other countries, they realize that they need other countries, not only themselves, for other resources that are important for their country. Also, Russia has a strong political connections. As you know, they have a connection with China, USA, Germany. All these countries are very high up there in the economy, and as a result, knowing that it is an ally with them will also make other countries see it as a great investing country. Thank you very much for listening.
Good evening, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the culture of conducting business in Russia. What we're going to go through is the culture, relativism, the ethical imperialism, business etiquette, the impact of culture of conduct to Russia, barriers of conduct on business in Russia, and the Hofstede's cultural dimensions. So culture relativism. Basically, this is where uh, we're talking about how Russians do respect all other cultures, uh, and they feel concern or more fear to their neighbors in the east as much as they do to the west. By this, I mean like the competition that they have with the other cultures and countries beside them. Um, the ethical imperialism, things that we should that are wrong all over the world, but these are more noticeably exaggerated in Russia. Uh, Two of which are noticed. They are the bodily functions are considered to be extremely impolite in public, even if the sound is especially long and expressive, and the author is proud of it. So, if one is to burp very loudly and laugh about it, it is considered very impolite to all Russians, no matter where you are in the bus station or at a work environment or at school. It is considered very impolite, yawning, for example, or making anything purposefully loud. Another point would be Russians have a saying that they say, which is to smile with no reason is a sign of a fool. This is more into the Russian culture, where they consider someone who is just smiling out of the blue, if he's just alone and he's just smiling, they consider this person to be stupid or a fool, and they make fun of him basically. This this basically shows what Russians think of people that are more independent in their own thoughts in public places. The business etiquette that Russians like to consider while having business meetings, or your physical appearance and your mental appearance also. many of which will begin with the typical greeting as a firm, almost bone crushing handshake while maintaining direct eye contact and giving the appropriate greet for the time of the day. This really goes into the Russian culture. Like they're really like aggressively firm with like very manly about how they say hello to each other. By the This is from a source that I found from Russia where they talk about very bone crushing. Like that's from the website. They take it very seriously, very manly. This goes from man to man. When it comes to women, they obviously take it more easier with them. Another point is to expect a long period of socializing and getting to know you conversation before business is discussed. So basically, what Russians like to do before they start a business or a business discussion or conversation, they'd like to know the person that they're meeting. They'd like to know emotional things that happen to them. They'd like to know about what's going on in their life and get a socializing experience done. Another point is patience is essential. It's very important that the Russians take it very slow, very easy when they're having a discussion about their plans or their business. They like to take it very slow and talk thoroughly through it what they're talking about and be specific. This goes in with the meetings also with and their negotiations. They like to take them slow and they like to be fully aware of what they're talking about, very understanding of what they're talking about. By doing that, they do it in a very slow manner. Russians do not like being rushed, so that's basically within the word. Do not rush the Russians. um, Basically they enjoy to take their time is what I'm trying to say. They mentioned this in the past 2 points. Most Russians do not trust people who are all business, so this gives you a sense that Russians do have an emotional side towards business. They're not really all about business. They do care about their employees, for example. Like they don't make all their lives about business and their whole life revolve around business. They like to have people who have a social life other than what their work life is. Another point is Russians see negotiations as win or lose. They do not believe in win-win scenarios, which is a good way to see a business because in reality there will always be someone else that loses. Uh, to the to the winners, they will win, but they also consequences will come, and they consider that because if they do not do that, uh, when they don't do that, they basically limit their what they're trying to aim for, and if they aim for a win-win scenarios, it will limit their outcome of what they're trying to do. So they like to consider win or lose scenarios because that helps with their final decision or final outcome. Another and the final point is the meetings and negotiations are slow. Russians do not like to be rushed. I'd repeat this again because they really like to take their time when they're talking about things. The next part here is how does this culture impact Russia's business etiquette? Well, one point is that it shows how professional Russians are doing when they're doing business. Uh, they do take their time, which is very important in business. They don't really rush through anything. It gives the foreigners an idea of how to respect how respect is taken in Russia. So it is very highly recommended that if you do go to Russia, it is very important to respect them the way they do respect you. It also shows how being social and getting to know one another. So this will create a trusting bond with one another. It'll create them to relate more to you, have a more social, emotional, and mental connection with you. They give you to know the mentality of the person, which I just mentioned, to engage in long-term businesses. So using all these things, it'll engage in it'll make an outcome of a long-term business. The barriers of the culture on the business. So basically, where does this give the limit? Where's the limit on these cultures of the business? So, for example, dressing has to be a certain attire, which would be dark clothes. They highly recommend when going through business meetings to wear dark suits or dark clothes. If the clothes are light, they do not take the business seriously. They take it basically as an insult because that's how they do the business there. Showing up on time is very, very, very important because I've read about this. They need you when you're making an appointment, for an example, for a meeting. They want you to call in months before and even weeks before the date actually comes. So they always want to be on time, and they're very very serious about that. Taking their time to make decisions that are important to them. So basically, uh, this is the same idea as I mentioned before. They really like to take their time and take it slow because when making the final decision, it is very important that they consider all the possible outcomes during the decision process. Being quiet and showing no expressions is the same idea that I also mentioned before. Hofstede's cultural dimensions. These are the five things that are mentioned, which are very important, that must be taken in consideration right now. The power distance. Russians prefer to communicate with a person in the same level of power. By this I mean, if a general branch manager, he does prefer to speak with another general branch manager of another company or industry. They do take this as a better way to communicate with each other. Individualism. Unlike Canada, Russia shows that they like to live in a friendly and social mindset rather than alone. This means that reliance on neighbors, so they communicate with people around them. Friends are seen as siblings; they're more closer to each other than they really are. Russians' environment discards secrets and personal issues, so they encourage you to be open with them. Masculinity and femininity. In Russia, there's a gap in the path females and males choose. Males are more focused on competition, achievement, and success, even with the females. If mentioned in any of those kind of competition or achievements and success. Like if a woman is within the competition of for the male to achieve the success, they will not stop there. Females are more focused on caring for others and good quality life, so they're more sensitive towards the business situations that come by everyday life. Uncertainty avoidance. Russians, when approached by strangers, they react in a formal yet distant way. So if I'm in Russia, for example, and I'm meeting someone very important, I must keep it very formal, very respectful, and keep my distance from him, which means not invading his personal space and not touching him on his shoulder or something uncomfortably that might be uncomfortable to him. Long-term orientation. The society has more emphasis on creating a secured and strong future for the people. They have a vision and a plan for the future. So this is basically what I also mentioned from before, is that they like to take their time and have step by step formation of what they want to do in the future. So basically that is my presentation. I hope you guys liked it. If you guys have any questions about any of the PowerPoints that we had before, I'll have my email down below, and you can email me and I'll try to give you the answers or whatever you need right back.